I'm Kat.
And I'm Hayley.
And this is Night Classy,
a tipsy night class teaching the oddities and curiosities you never learned in school.
Where are you taking us on this learning journey, Hayley?
I will be telling us about the bandit who could never be captured alive.
Ooh.
Yes, ma'am. What about you?
I channeled Alec this week,
Oh.
and I have a treasure hunt mystery for us.
My gosh, you're just like retelling the Oak Island mystery.
It is very similar.
As most treasure hunting stories are.
They tend to be underground, and ground
There's dirt.
tends to collapse.
Spoiler!
It's also, they're hard to find. Treasure is hard to find. That's a common theme.
As is a good treasure story.
Mm-hmm.
So
It wouldn't
you can't
be a
just find
story
them
if it
anywhere.
were easy to find.
That's true. Mine is also very similar to a story that I've told in the past. So
Okay.
we're just, we're 177 episodes and there's nothing else left for us. We're starting to repeat.
I was thinking about that today. I was thinking about how many Google Docs I have of just like random topics that we've covered on this show.
So many.
177 of them.
And it's actually crazy. I almost said we have useless knowledge, but it has come in handy so many times when I can actually remember at parties, arguments with my brother.
I don't think I've ever referenced anything I've learned from doing this podcast.
Do not lie. We won sex trivia because of Night
That's
Classy.
true. That's the one time.
There you go. What more do you need?
Oh, no, actually, I have one. My friend at work, Miss Dallas, shout out, she listens to the podcast and she was like, hey, have you ever, she's from Arkansas, and she's like, have you heard of Eureka Springs? You should cover it on your podcast.
Oh,
and I was like,
we?
have I heard of Eureka Springs? Have I been to Eureka Springs? Have I stayed in the Crescent Hotel? Yes, I have for this podcast.
Yeah. We need to go through all of the pictures and really look closely in the mirrors and any reflections and things to see if we can spot something.
I don't have the patience for that. That's why I could never be a ghost hunter.
That checks out. I might be able to if I if hypothetically I took a gummy and was highly motivated. I think I could do it.
Okay. I think if anything, I could look closely at the pictures, but what I don't understand how people do is like listen to an audio recording of hours of them doing an investigation. And like, even when they find something, I can never understand what they think it says.
Yeah, because by the time you actually hear something, you're so eager to hear something that you like make it sound like something.
Yeah, and you guys know I'm not skeptical when it comes to the paranormal. Like, I believe them that it says what they think it's saying, but I would never be able to discern that or listen to all that footage.
We'd rather just record it and then hand it off to Alec to edit for 12 months.
Yeah. I'd rather just live in the moment. I want to be spooked at the time. I don't want to go back and try to find stuff later.
Yeah, it shouldn't linger.
No.
It should be nice and crisp in the moment, like you said.
It's for the experience. Yeah, at the time. I want that adrenaline rush. You don't get the same rush when listening to 10 hours of audio.
Yeah, just a no for me, dog.
Same.
All right, well, do you have anything?
Not really. No, I have nothing. I feel like garbage, so I think we should.
Wow, right before this, you're like, I feel better. Not 100%, but I feel better.
Okay,
this episode almost didn't happen.
I feel better, but that's going from a -10 to a 2.
Okay, a 2 out of 18.
Yeah.
Positivity bomb, as always, right at the top of the show.
Okay. I have already bitched about this separately to Alec and Hayley, but they were testing the fire alarm at work today, and they kept blasting it into my ear, and we just had to sit in the building and listen to it, and it gave me a migraine, and the migraine made me nauseous, and I do feel a little bit better now that I ate peanut butter and a Tylenol, but I still don't feel good. So
I don't know. It just seems like you're lying.
Well, you can think that.
I'm
That's
just kidding.
fine.
I don't actually think that. I'm glad that you feel you're at a 2. I'm glad that we could get this done, and hopefully my learning journey will perk you up a little bit.
Yes.
Or maybe you'll hate it. I really don't know. It could go either way.
I think it'll make me feel much better. I'm going to sip on my electrolyte beverage while you take it away.
There you go. Get that sugar and salt.
I will.
Alrighty. So on December 8th, 1976, the production crew for the $6 Million Man was filming in Long Beach, California. As they were setting up, props were being moved about. It was a pretty busy day. And the scene they were shooting took place in a fun house, they just shot in an existing fun house that had various set pieces just all over. And a prop man had to adjust this glow-in-the-dark, spray-painted wax mannequin that was hanging from the gallows of the fun house.
What?
So it had like rafters.
That's not a fun house. It was hanging.
Yeah, it was hanging.
Like
it had
up from a noose?
Yeah, from a noose.
That's a haunted house. That's
Yeah,
not
it was
a
a
fun
scary house. It was like fun house, like wink, wink.
I don't understand. No
think-
fun house I've been into has a hangman.
I think it was fun house like fun scary, not fun.
A haunted house.
Fun. A haunted house, but it was year round. So it was
Can
a haunted
still
house.
Be a haunted I'm hung up on this.
I think
Did
it's
it
just a fun
have a
house.
mirror maze?
Probably so.
Okay.
Probably. It just
That brings it into funhouse territory.
What it really sounds like is an estate sale at a hoarder's house is probably what it more is accurate, because there's just shit everywhere.
The plot is thickening. I don't know what to think of this or what category I would put it in.
Well, you'll see.
Okay.
You'll see what category. The dummy had been there in the corner hanging for years, and its arm actually like cracked. There was a like
Don't tell me this
when
is a
it moved.
dead body.
Well, the crew was unable to repair the arm, and it broke off completely, revealing human bone and muscle tissue.
How excited would you be, though, if you found that?
I like to talk a big game and be like, that would be so awesome. And I love macabre stuff like this, but I like learning about it, I think, more than I would like experiencing it.
I don't know. That's a good story to tell for the rest of your life. I'm part of this subreddit called What Is This Bone? And usually like 99.99% of the time it's animal bones. But for some reason, like a couple of weeks ago, there was like a 10-day period where people were finding human bones and posting it on the subreddit like every day. And
oh my God.
like just like in the walls of their house or the dirt floor of their basement or like in their yard. And it was crazy.
Fast forward 5 years from now, we're listening to a podcast about the Reddit murderer who had killed someone and just like pretended that they found all the different bones from all the various places, but it's just all compiles into one body. It's all documented on Reddit.
One of the posts was crazy because it was so obviously a human femur, like it like clear as day. It could be nothing else. And the person who posted it, I mean, it is the internet. Like maybe people are making shit up, but they were like, yeah, like I called the police and they came and just told me like they didn't know what it was and to throw it away.
To throw it away?
Yeah. Yeah.
But also isn't a cow femur really similar to a human femur?
I don't
Or is that dumb?
think so.
Is that a really dumb thing I just said?
No, I have no idea what a cow femur looks like, but I wouldn't think it looked like a human one because our knees bend differently. I don't know. I don't know about bones.
Is a cow femur similar to a human femur? Because for some reason I think that's true. They have a great non-human animal bones have greater density relative to size. They are less well, that doesn't answer my question.
I need to see a side-by-side image to tell you.
I just need yes or no.
But I feel like human femurs are really distinct because we stand upright, so they look different than animal ones.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess
Maybe this whole conversation is dumb. I'm not
somebody
a bone
lied
expert.
to me somewhere along the way.
Your mom's a bone expert, though, not me.
Oh,
Sorry. Don't be sorry. That's why I'm here, right?
Uh-huh.
Alrighty. So they figure out that it's human. Law enforcement was called, and the mummified corpse was taken to the Los Angeles coroner's office. An autopsy was conducted on the shriveled body, now standing 5'3" and barely weighing 50 pounds. Wear and tear meant that he was missing fingers, toes, both ears, and most of his hair. But they were able to determine that it was a man who died from a gunshot wound to his chest.
So he didn't die from hanging?
He didn't die from hanging.
Okay.
They actually had to drill and maybe do we put a trigger warning for all of this at the beginning?
I think people.
I'm kind of
hopefully
triggered
people
saying
know
it out loud.
Yeah. Well,
I think we're good. People know what they're getting themselves
this
into.
Serves as a
Trigger warning. This lesson is fucked. Okay. So they actually had to drill a hole like through his neck to like what I'm
Like
trying
they turned
to say
him in
administer the
Tracheotomy.
noose.
They turned him into like a human bead.
Yes, he was a human bead.
String through.
Because they couldn't do it because like his neck would like literally crack off because he's a mummy. He's mummified.
Gross.
And his body is covered in wax and layers and layers and layers of paint.
What the fuck? Who did this initially?
He's been through a lot, okay?
Yes.
He's weird Barbie, which you would get if you had seen the movie.
I get it anyway because I've seen the trailer.
We've all had a weird
Yeah.
Barbie in our days. The autopsy revealed incisions from the man's initial autopsy and embalming. But the question is, how long ago was that? And who is this man? Tissue test revealed arsenic was present.
Probably just in that old paint.
Actually, this ended up narrowing things down because arsenic was commonly used in embalming fluid in the late 1920s. So
Okay.
this actually did help them for once. It actually narrowed things down. Lung scans revealed the man had tuberculosis as well as bunions and scars, which led them to assume that he was a minor.
Oh.
Yeah, not just a hardworking individual.
Wait, why would bunions and TB make you a minor?
Shit getting in your lungs from like what you're mining
Okay,
would
that makes
cause
sense.
irritation.
And the bunions?
It just be working hard.
Yeah, I feel like they just wanted to like be rude.
yeah, they're like
He had
"And
bunions.
he had bunions.
Yeah, exactly.
I have bunions.
You do?
Yeah,
I didn't know
and they're only
that.
gonna get worse. And
Yeah,
you have
they
like
grow.
that
You have to
plantar
get 'em
fasciitis.
Shaved down.
I think I have bunions. Yeah, because like on my corner, it's like kind of starting to corner of my toe.
What?
Is that not what a bunion is?
I think
a bunion
a
is like
bunion is where you
growth.
have like extra like bone bumps on your feet.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I definitely have something going on with my ankle though too. My like ankle bone extends too far.
I have extra ankle bones.
You do?
Yeah.
This is confirmed?
Yeah.
Cows do too.
I have like, you know how you have one bump on your ankle? I have 4.
Whoa.
You see them?
No.
1, 2.
But I believe
okay.
you.
Maybe not 4. Maybe it's more like 3, but it looks weird.
Did a doctor tell you this or you just decided
No,
it?
it was just like, you know how like in school you sit like cross-legged and you're always like looking at each other's ankles and stuff? Like everyone would always point it out and be like,
It's an
that's
observation.
so weird. Yeah. And then as I grew up, it kind of stopped being relevant. But I have like weird ankle bones.
Very relevant in elementary school
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
People used to always ask me if the bumps on my wrist was a bug bite. They'd be like, "Oh, what happened to you?"
Yeah, you do have a prominent wrist bone.
I do. Yes.
Look at that. It's pointy. It's like a shark fin.
Yeah, I remember asking my mom, like as a hypochondriac, like 5th grader, being like, "Do I have cancer? Tell me now."
On both wrists.
On both wrists. I'm some kind of freak of nature. So the bullet jacket was found in the man. And this specific one, it was a gas check, which I have no idea what it means. But they knew that this specific one was used between the year 1904 and the year 1940. Arguably, their biggest clue came when they removed the man's jaw for dental analysis. And inside of his mouth, they found a 1924 penny and ticket stubs to the 140 West Pike Sideshow and Louis Sonny's Museum of Crime.
Why?
Sir, I don't know why. We'll have to continue on and see.
He was a true carny. He was still in a fun house.
Still in a fun
he died
house.
presumably at, what did you say the ticket stubs were for?
At a sideshow.
A sideshow.
A sideshow in the Museum of Crime.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. So investigators were able to get in contact with Dan Sonny of Louis Sonny's Museum of Crime, who confirmed the body belonged to a man named Elmer McCurdy, later scientifically confirmed by a forensic anthropologist. But how did he get there? Who is he, you may ask?
I'm asking.
You're asking. I can see it in
with
your
my eyes.
I'm using my psychic.
Yeah.
I accidentally today guessed random, not even trying to guess what one of the things Tommy was going to get me for my birthday. I was like, we need to, as he's cleaning up the kitchen after I made dinner, I'm like, we need to get one of those handheld vacuums that, you can just like grab off the wall. And he was like, what? Like, I mean, because he had told me that he thought of something that I said months ago, and I haven't thought about it since. But also, I'm like, don't give me that for my birthday. That needs to be something that we split. Like, I don't. want
that's just something
supplies.
you buy.
It's just something.
Although
buy.
I would be thrilled to get one because do you know what I added to my Amazon cart today?
A steam vacuum,
a handheld vacuum, so that I could vacuum my countertops because they're really hard to wipe down with the tile.
That's exactly why I want them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and the only acceptable thing for me right now is the steam mop because I want the floors to be like fucking clean.
A steam mop. I hate mopping. Maybe that would make it better.
Justin raves about his. This is adulthood. This really is what it's like.
It really is. Welcome to the Millennial Podcast.
And I'm happy about it.
Too.
I'm not a millennial, though. You are. I'm not. I'm Gen Z all the way, baby.
Okay. My favorite part of my day now is emptying the Roomba and seeing how much stuff it got.
Do you run it every day?
I like every other day, probably.
Okay. I see. And what's your Roomba's name again?
Succubus.
Yes. Love it.
Sucks.
It sucks in a good way.
Yeah. The way you want it to.
Exactly how you want it to. All right. Well, back to Elmer. Elmer was a New Year's Day baby of the year 1880, born in Maine to an unwed teenager and a father who was possibly her cousin.
Oh, no.
But we're still not sure. His aunt and uncle raised him, a fact he learned as a teenager, which led him to find comfort in the bottom of a bottle. It just shot him. Apparently, I'm sure he was already well on his way to abusing alcohol. But
what if he was an altar boy, just perfect in every way, had a full ride to Harvard?
And then he started drinking the church's wine.
Yeah, and that information just changed his whole life trajectory.
Well, it really did. He may not have been an altar boy, but this information really led him down a path. Within a few years, almost all of his family died, and he fell even further into this alcoholism.
That'll do it.
Yeah, when you have no one else, what else are you supposed to do? Just kidding. If you have no one, then make friends.
There are resources, I'm sure.
It's hard. Yeah, there are resources. It's really
get off your lazy ass and make friends.
It's hard to make friends as an adult.
It is.
You're not in school anymore, meeting new people.
And why would you want to make friends?
You're the most recent friend I've made is Alec, because I met you 6 months before Alec, and that's been it.
Pretty much. But why would you make friends when you can sit on your couch and play Stardew Valley by yourself
for 12 hours? You're just in the dark.
I had a really good weekend. My farm is looking amazing.
I'm getting ads now for the Sims horse expansion pack.
You gotta get it.
I will. I can't wait to get my horse. Much less expensive than a real life horse.
Very true.
Elmer could have used a horse. He decides to leave Maine and he sets out west. He found work as a miner, a plumber, and a soldier. At Fort Leavenworth in Kansas, Elmer was trained on explosives, including the use of nitroglycerin used for demolitions. Unfortunately for him, he failed with all of the practical training, and they actually honorably discharged him.
That's so embarrassing.
We don't need you. It is. At least he wasn't dishonorably discharged.
Yeah, but it's a honorable discharge.
Yeah,
it's
you
are not capable. You didn't do anything bad, but you're not capable.
You couldn't make it go boom. So, bye. Elmer met up with an old army friend in St. Joseph, where they were later arrested for possessing burglary paraphernalia, including chisels, hacksaws, funnels for nitroglycerin, gunpowder, and money sacks. In court, Elmer told the judge the tools were not for burglary. They were for a foot-operated machine gun they were inventing.
That's better. And also, money sack is pretty incriminating. What else would that be for? It's in the name.
A dollar sign on it.
He has like a little black bandit mask to like match.
His directions, I'm like looking at my emojis now in my notes, and I'm like, what if his directions are just all pictures? And it shows the money bags, and then his face with the emoji that has like the tongue out with the eyes that are dollar signs. It's like, well, he tells them that it's for this machine gun they're inventing, and the judge is like, okay, not guilty. Bye.
And then he's like,
dismissed.
joke's on you. We were going to use the machine gun to burglarize.
He kind of reminds me of Dr. Death a bit. It seems like he can't recognize his own incompetencies.
Yeah.
Elmer began his full-time yet very short-lived career as a bank and train robber. Like I said, he was really just bad at his job, but very ambitious.
He was bad at robbing.
He was bad at robbing,
Okay.
but he wanted to do it so badly. Like, he was really invested. Elmer was determined to include his sparse training on nitroglycerin to rob banks, but he didn't know how much to use, which leads to failure. He either used too much or too little. One time, he used too much in a train robbery. They expected the bounty to be $4,000, but the insane amount of explosives he used destroyed most of the money.
Money is very flammable.
Extremely.
Gotta be careful.
Yes. And I don't think nitroglycerin as an explosive is the best way to rob. Like, we're in the 1900s, early 1900s, if not still the late 1800s.
Was he bombing the train track to derail it so then they could get in and take the money?
No, one time he literally went onto a train and yes, yeah.
And bombed it from the inside?
And bombed it from the inside. They walked away with that $450, and he was only able to take out the banker's vault, but not actually like the safe inside. And so he like would take the operator's watch, for example, he did one time. Yeah.
Small potatoes.
Not worth it in my opinion,
No.
but also he was intoxicated a lot of the time.
Okay.
So it was either too much, too little. He's not getting what he wants. And his final robbery was on October 4th, 1911 in Oklahoma. Elmer and two accomplices planned their robbery of the Katy train after hearing it was carrying $400,000 in cash. It was a payment to the Osage. Is that how you say it?
I think
Yeah.
so.
Osage Nation. Well, Elmer and his friends robbed a passenger train instead
No.
by accident.
They're like, everyone give me your watch. We're going to
That's
make this worth it.
Exactly what happened. They walked away with $46, 2 barrels of whiskey, a revolver, a coat, and like I said before, the train conductor's watch.
So just one watch.
Just a watch.
That's
yeah. So I guess
bullshit.
they didn't really go around. They weren't thinking straight. A newspaper article covering the robbery dubbed it, quote, one of the smallest in the history of train robberies.
Ouch.
So small. Minuscule. Elmer was pissed. He drank away his pain, and at this point in time, he's pretty sick with tuberculosis. He now has a touch of pneumonia and trichinosis,
What's
which is
that?
like another like irritant in
Okay.
the lungs.
So his breathing sounds like shit.
yeah,
He could
he's
not have a
snoring.
podcast.
No, he could not have a podcast. Everyone would be writing in like, please make it stop. He would have all 1-star reviews, but he would have interesting stories. I will say that.
True.
I'll say that. Elmer passes the fuck out after drinking himself to sleep and was rudely awoken the next morning by 3 deputy sheriffs. While Elmer starts firing, they start firing. They all miss, and this went on for about an hour until Elmer was fatally shot in the chest. His body was taken to the undertaker, Joseph L. Johnson, where he was prepared with an arsenic-based embalming fluid, ensuring that he would hold up for an extended period of time because they knew that he wasn't like from around there. So they wanted to make sure that his body was preserved for long enough until they could contact his next of kin.
Okay.
While the police were searching for Elmer's family, the undertaker shaved Elmer's face, dressed him in a suit, and waited to be reimbursed by the family for his services. But they were kind of hard to contact.
They're all dead.
Because they're all dead.
And he didn't make any friends like Hayley suggested.
He didn't make any friends. He didn't play Stardew Valley.
Missing out.
Yeah, he didn't have a community there. So John the Undertaker refused to release the body until he was paid, which never happened. In the meantime, Johnson decided he would use Elmer's body to advertise his work as an undertaker.
Okay.
He created an exhibit in his funeral home, dressing Elmer in street clothes, placing a rifle in his hands, and charging a nickel for anyone who wanted to see the bandit who wouldn't give up.
Oh my God. So he's like one of those like cigar store like statues.
Mm-hmm.
Literally like
Yes.
it was down to the rifle.
People would put the nickels in his mouth when and it would be emptied out at the end of the day.
Gross.
Talk about passive income, huh?
Oh my God.
This is pre-laundromats. The bandit was popular. This attraction, quote unquote, lasted for 5 years.
I'd go see it.
I want to say that I wouldn't, but I would. I would.
would.
I wonder what a nickel is in 1900.
Oh, probably a lot.
Time, money, converter.
I'm gonna guess
How much?
$20.
Yeah, I wanted you to guess. Okay, so it's not letting US dollar. Okay, this is too much to think about as I'm
Okay.
trying to do this, but we'll investigate. Probably a lot.
Okay.
Anyway, The Undertaker denied several offers from carnival promoters over the years wanting to purchase the body until Elmer's brothers, Charles and James Patterson, surfaced, claiming the body of their long-lost brother. They had already contacted law enforcement and had permission to take the body back to California with them. Johnson released the bandit, and his brothers loaded him onto a train that actually ended up taking him to Arkansas City, Kansas, where the quote-unquote long-lost brothers owned their own traveling carnival.
Genius ploy. And nobody thought to look at their ID and double check.
Were there IDs?
It sounds
In the
like
year
it sounds like
1900?
anyone who wanted a body could have said, "That's my brother, give him to me," which
Yeah.
is what happened.
They were
But,
just smart enough to do it. When did
Yeah.
we go off the honor code? Because clearly it was sometime in the 5 years that Elmer McCurdy was propped up as a mummy.
I want back on the honor code. It was. I think we should
You
be able
would-
to trust people.
You would use and abuse the honor code, Katya Barnhart.
Maybe.
I think you would do well if we went back on the honor code.
I like to think so, but
In-
I'm
in a
not. I'm not brave
manipulative
enough
way.
to pull off this heist. However, I admire the hustle.
They definitely hustled. They had the Great Patterson Carnival show. Elmer's corpse traveled with the carnival as the outlaw who would never be captured alive until the operation was sold to Louis Sonny. Elmer was featured in the Museum of Crime, which included wax figures of famous outlaws like Jesse James. But in this case, he was a literal mummy, not just a wax figure.
He probably looked like trash by this time.
We have pictures. He does not look too bad,
Really?
I must say. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, he looks like a mummified
a
body.
mummy.
A mummy. From here, Elmer's mummified body was sold and exchanged around as a prop in sideshows and films, including Narcotic and She Freak. It was at a show at Mount Rushmore that a windstorm ripped off his ears, fingers, and toes.
What?
Yeah, strong winds. Where the fuck even is Mount Rushmore? Like
North
South Dakota, North
South
Dakota,
South Dakota.
South
I
Dakota.
think.
One of the Dakotas.
Yeah, I've been there.
Me too. Look at us.
It was not impressive.
Badlands. Yeah, we need females carved into the side of a mountain.
Or
if
just
anything.
don't carve into the side of that mountain because
Of
it's
course.
sacred to the indigenous peoples there.
Yes,
But-
1000%. But if it has to be something, it should not be men. Elmer's body was then stuffed back into the Laugh in the Dark funhouse until it was discovered in 1976, bringing us back to the beginning of the story. Elmer McCurdy was officially laid to rest in Oklahoma at the Boot Hill section of the Summit View Cemetery next to fellow outlaw Bill Doolin. About 300 people attended his service, which was completed by pouring 2 feet of concrete over his casket to make sure no one stole his body.
Okay.
Again.
At this point, who cares?
I don't know. I care. I care a little
You
bit.
care?
I mean, I'm not going to steal a body, but
You care that he doesn't get stolen again?
yeah, I
Okay.
think he
That's
deserves.
nice
I
of you.
mean, for God's sakes, he's missing his ears, toes, fingers, all because he got.
That's what I'm saying. Like at this point, just to
Oh,
let
so
it
you're like
happen.
past the point of return.
Yeah,
You're like, keep
there's
it
no-
going.
Yeah, why
no
not?
need to preserve
I think
him.
he'd want it to be kept going. I think he liked attention, and he continues to get it.
That's fair. He does. At least today he does in this story. Alec has pulled up some pictures so you can see.
Oh yeah, he really doesn't
Looks
look
pretty
bad.
good. Looks
Yeah,
pretty good. Pretty scary.
You can tell it's a human.
It's a human dead body that has been preserved for decades and
Yep.
decades and decades.
Gross.
Absolutely
Okay.
nasty, but I thought it was really interesting. You
Yeah.
guys know I'm into that kind of shit. Well, that's the end of my learning journey.
All right, well, BRB.
Back to you, Kat.
I have a running list of possible episode topics in my phone, and then I go to research them, and half the time there is not actually enough information, but that's where I get great fodder for our Patreon show, Extra Credit.
Yes, it's just like a little taste, a little baby bite of knowledge, a little fun fact for your day to keep you going. Maybe you don't have time to listen to one of our typically hour and a half episodes in between meetings. Maybe you need a little 10, 15, maybe 20-minute dose of extra information.
Yeah, you're on your way to a party and you need a fun fact to share. You can just tune into Extra Credit, and me, Hayley, and Alec all share a fun fact that we learned that week, and we do this every single week. You get a bonus episode of Night Classy on Patreon.
So if you're interested in that, all you have to do is pop on over to patreon.com/nightclassy. Thank you to everyone who supports us already. And thank you if you're even thinking about it or even listening right now. But it really does help support the show and keep this Night Classy ball rolling.
We would love to see you over there. And as always, thank you for your support.
Mwah.
It was 1930. Oh, I forgot I was supposed to give a soft intro. I just
I'm about
to start reading my notes.
I'm going to interrupt you so much. You're going to be so pissed at me by the end of your lesson.
Please do. We've been speeding through this so far. We need to
there's-
slow down the show.
There's a balance that you like. You like a little, but not too much.
I just I've been trying because I feel like in our early episodes, I wouldn't know how to segue back after a bit. So I've tried to just when the bit feels like it's over, just start reading.
Yes.
And that's not to end the bit. That's just to not have dead air. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. But there's a certain amount of bits where you don't want them to start either.
Start all the bits you want. I think what the problem is,
Especially on headache day.
on headache day, yeah, that might be tough. I don't know. Sometimes I get overwhelmed and I can't understand what you're saying while I'm trying to read the
Yeah,
notes.
because you have like your notes in your head and I'm bringing in something else.
Yeah.
And I have like 69 tabs open at all times anyway.
And then I lose my place while you're talking and then I panic over it. So I'm trying to find my place while I'm like listening to you and then I can't hear what you're saying. It's a whole thing.
3.5 years
Song
later.
and dance. You'd think we would have figured it out.
That's a crazy thing.
I know.
Well, shit. Okay.
Okay. Well, anyway, here we go. I'm going to
your
start
soft
again.
intro.
It was 1937 and podiatrist, a little Bunyan crossover.
Hey, plantar fasciitis girlies, enter the chat.
Doc Noss was deer hunting in the rocky deserts of White Sands, New Mexico. He was on top of a hill known as a Victorio Peak when he felt a light breeze go up his pant leg.
Ooh.
a
little soft intro.
A hard intro. If you will.
Oh.
This like freaked him out at first because there's rattlesnakes and stuff, so he thought it was like a snake like wiggling around, and I don't know how
There's
that
a
would kind of
snake
like
in my pants.
Yeah.
And it's not my peen.
So he like jumps, he looks down, there's no snake, but he still feels the breeze, and it seems like the breeze is coming from under a rock. So he's like, that's weird. So he moves the rock and finds a large hole with a ladder leading down from the hole into a dark abyss.
Okay, what do you do in that scenario, personally?
I think I would do exactly what Doc does.
Okay.
What would you do?
Call 911.
No.
Not actually. I don't know. I'd be scared if somebody else was with me and they wanted to go. I would watch them go.
That's true. He does this next part alone. I would definitely bring someone with me. He goes home and gets a rope and a flashlight. And then he goes back and goes down. What he finds is amazing.
There's like a cat just waiting for him in the corner. It's like, would you like to accept this journey? I need to find my friend.
Yes, he accepts the journey. Unfortunately, there's no cat. What there is a interlocking series of tunnels and caverns, each of them filled with treasure.
Gold. Doubloons.
There are literal doubloons. There are treasure chests full of gold coins, jewels. There's Spanish conquistador armor, statues of saints. There's a giant pile of these iron rods that he calls pig iron, and they're like stacked like firewood. And best of all, there's a room containing 27 human skeletons.
Elmer McCurdy in the corner with his rifle. These are my friends.
It's just a bunch of Elmer McCurdys. They start mass producing
We're all
them.
Elmer McCurdy in the afterlife.
Why not? Doc rushes home to tell his wife, Ova, what he found. And so the two of them eventually go back to the site, and Ova couldn't go down because it's like a really small hole. It's like hard for him to even get down there, and he's pretty like sprightly and athletic.
This is really wild. If I were Ova, his wife, I'd be like, why are you lying to me? Why are you doing this right now? Well, I don't have time.
Yeah, it does sound like a lie. And she kind of does ask for proof because he's telling her about it. And she's like, okay, well, bring me one of these pig iron bars that you're talking about. Like, I just want to see one.
She's like, okay, go down there.
Yeah,
bring me a skeleton.
She's like, fuck the jewels.
Matter of fact, bring me two.
Bring me some iron. He says, like, no, they're too heavy. Like, I can't drag them out, but I'll try to find one. So he goes in and finds one that's like small enough to drag out of there to show her. And he drags it up and he says, that's the last of them babies I'm going to bring out because like it was so heavy. And that changed when Ova noticed that the iron was yellow.
What does it mean?
Seriously? It means it's gold.
Oh, okay. So it's gold.
Yeah. These were...
I thought that it turned yellow like in the daylight.
What?
Because so he couldn't see that it was gold when he was down there?
No, because it's like a dark hole. I guess.
You said he brought a
He
flashlight.
did, but it's like the 1920s. 1930s. I don't know. I don't know how good their flashlights are back then.
Okay, that's fair. No one is wrong,
Okay.
including me, especially.
Okay. You just now learned that yellow metal is gold.
I thought that something changed because it was iron in the cavern and then
Yes.
turned yellow when he brought it home. I thought it was like
Sorry.
maybe it was exposed to the oxygen or something like
Or
that.
he peed on it.
He peed on
Yeah.
it.
Okay. I see what you mean.
Maybe he's
understand.
colorblind and this is when he finds out.
Oh.
You ever
That
thought
would
of
be-
that?
No, I didn't.
I didn't think so.
Well, thank you for pointing that out to me. The cavern was filled with pure gold bars. And this was really good news because all that gold would have, I think someone said like 16,000 bars were down there. That would be valued at almost $3 billion in today's money. And
Oh
they're
my
just
God.
like simple small town podiatrists. So this is big news. But it was complicated at the same time because in the 30s, it was illegal for private citizens to own gold bars.
Really?
Yeah, because of the Gold Reserves Act of 1934. Like after
Okay.
the Great Depression, the U.S. government was trying to rebuild its gold reserves. I think
Where is this again?
New Mexico.
New Mexico. Okay, I
Mhm.
thought it was just Mexico.
No, it's
Old Mexico.
yeah.
OG Mexico.
This is the worst one. So he just kidding. I don't mind New Mexico. It's fine.
I've never been.
I've been to Albuquerque once, and I ate a taco salad there, and that's all I remember. I
You
was pretty
can't-
young.
You can't go wrong with a taco salad.
They're so good.
So good. And
Not
it's like,
Mexican food, but very good.
Yeah, that's okay though. It's like you have the lettuce and the crispy shell and
Mhm.
sour cream and tomato. What
Yeah.
what can go wrong?
That's what you need.
If you're into shrimp, you can get it with shrimp. It's always an option.
Mhm.
I know
Some
you're
black
not.
beans.
Some black beans.
So
Oh,
Okay. Well, anyway, so he can't sell these gold bars, at least not legally. So, which must have been so like hard to be like, there's millions of dollars down here, but like I can't do anything
it's
with it.
torture. It's truly torture.
Mhm.
And this is like how people become Walter Whites. You know,
Yeah.
you're just trying to survive and thrive.
Mhm.
But your way of getting there is highly illegal.
Yeah, and I mean, if he were someone with a lot of resources already, he could probably find a way legally to get around it, like maybe melt the gold down into like chains because you're allowed to have gold jewelry. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
That'd be a lot of learning.
Yeah,
To melt it down and make it into chains.
yeah,
Or just wait it out. You know, if you're doing fine, just continue on because surely it can't last forever.
yeah. That's kind of what happened. So. And again, also the gold is like really fucking heavy. Like it was hard enough for him to get that little piece out. And where do you
And
even
this
start?
is all like if you take it.
Mhm.
You probably shouldn't take it
Why?
because somebody put it there, right?
A long fucking time ago, there's conquistador stuff down there.
Okay, well, there's lots of dead bodies too. I didn't know
That's
if there
true.
was like a burial.
Oh,
You
I
know?
see what you mean.
Yeah.
Be respectful of
Because if somebody
everything.
takes my fucking gold and I'm broke in my afterlife, I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah, that's fair. You don't want to get cursed.
I don't. You don't. You shouldn't want to either. Let the gold be. Maybe take one.
Yeah, just
Finder's fee.
just a piece. I
Finder's
mean,
fee.
one gold bar is better than no gold bar.
And then you put something to deter anyone else from finding it outside of it or around it. Something to redirect them. I don't
Yeah.
know what would be like scary or disgusting enough.
Okay.
Maybe one of the skeletons.
Yeah.
That might cause further investigation.
What Doc decides to do is start paperwork. In 1938, he filed to lease the property from New Mexico and obtained what is called a treasure trove claim. This is basically legal finders keepers. If you find treasure in New Mexico, you can file this paperwork and legally it's yours.
Interesting.
So this is what he
Okay.
did. And with the documentation secured, Doc was able to start collecting his treasure. He began the long, back-breaking process of dragging out bars of gold one by one, as many as he could. And not really anyone could help him because this hole was like small and like really hard to get into. So he kind of had to do this all himself. And it's estimated that he was able to haul up like around 200.
And then he's ripped. And extremely wealthy. He leaves his wife.
The real prize is his gained health from all that manual labor. He has all this gold now, but he can't sell it. And also word is getting out around town what he's doing. So now he's really paranoid that he's going to get robbed.
That's dangerous.
Because he has to keep all this gold on him. Like you said, I think he's kind of like waiting it out. And he was right to be worried because cops start constantly arresting him. And it is said by some that Doc was like a bit of a drunk. So he was probably being arrested for things like disorderly conduct, being drunk in public, essentially. But they wouldn't normally arrest him for things like that. They were hoping he'd have gold on him and they'd be able to take it.
Where would you hide gold bars?
Like right now, if I lived
right now,
where I already do.
Don't triangulate yourself now.
I think I would just do the classic bury him in my yard.
Okay.
Right? Where else would you hide them? Where would you hide them?
If I had a lake or a pond, I'd probably throw them in there.
What? How would you get them back out?
Just dive.
Okay. You're full of interesting things to say tonight.
I mean, no, this is a hypothetical situation. I'm not actually going to do this.
If you want them back, how would you get them back?
You put them in a net. You throw them in a net, and then once you're ready,
then you're going to go dive in the pond?
Yeah.
But then someone fishing could pull
it's my
something up.
pond.
Okay.
And it's booby trapped.
Oh.
Yeah.
That changes things. Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
See. That good idea.
It's a great question, though. Where would you hide treasure? It's like a good conversation starter.
Where would you hide it?
I'm racking my brain right now. I can't think of a good spot.
If I have to give a real answer, I don't know. It's hard.
Like maybe you'd go to like a popular bridge or something and like tuck it up under part of the bridge.
But wouldn't you hide it on your property? I feel like it's less likely to get taken on your own property.
But if people know about it, then they'd probably look on your property.
That's true.
When we were little, my brother, he was such a little money man. He loved money. And he showed me where he kept all of his money. He rolled up all of his bills and put them so he had his closet and he would tape the rolled up bills to the inside top of the door where the flap was. So it's if you looked in the closet, you couldn't see anything. But if you put your head in and looked up over the edge of the border of the closet door, the casing, it was just rolls of bills taped.
That's so funny. Those kids that hoard money always really interest me. That was not me as a kid. I would spend it immediately.
Immediately. Take me to Target. Take me to Kmart. I need to buy a Bratz doll right now.
Immediately. As soon as I would get money, I would start fantasizing about what I was going to buy. And I knew exactly what I was going to buy.
Before I even got money. Thank God I didn't have a credit card as a kid. Honestly, I shouldn't have one now.
I just paid my whole credit card today. I tried to use my credit card to buy everything and then pay it off all in one chunk at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And it always sucks because I look in my bank and I feel rich because my entire paycheck is still there and then it's all
and
gone.
then it goes bye
all at once.
That's a good practice though.
I guess.
Guess how much getting those kittens vaccinated was?
Oh, I don't even want to know. $700?
It was $850.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, join our Patreon right now.
You could fund us saving backyard feral kittens.
She listed the number. She was like, it's 875 da 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 in a number, and I'm like, oh, 87 or. And she's like, no, 807. I was like, oh my God.
Jesus.
Yes.
These are for the feral kittens that we found in our backyard.
Yeah.
We really got lucky then to have Ernie and Safety vaccinated through the animal shelter.
I think that vet is just expensive too, because I don't remember it being that expensive when I brought Ghosty in when I found him.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe I'm remembering wrong.
Yeah, you were blinded by love with Ghosty.
Maybe, but I think if I got a $400 bill for cat vaccinations, I would remember because that's crazy.
What vet did you guys take him to? The one we go to in Midtown? or a
No,
different
I
one?
take the cats to that vet that I think has better pricing, and Alec took them to Georgia's vet, which is the bougie one.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
But even on the bill, like just looking at each vaccine being like $40 or $50 and each little procedure being $40 or $50, it just adds up to $350 to $400 for each cat real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
So I understand the way they priced it. It's just shocking.
It is shocking.
And
But I'm happy that the little guys are okay.
Yeah.
me too. That was a good deed. This is why we need universal health care for,
For
all.
cats.
For cats, yeah.
That's so true though. This is a huge relief because the kittens were literally throwing up worms on our floor in our house.
Moving
So,
live
like,
roundworms.
I will
Live.
never forget the day I was on a phone call for work and Safety was crying and I saw a butt poking out of his, or a worm poking out of his butthole.
Oh,
That's
It was
horrifying.
terrifying.
Was that when he was still a kitten?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really scary. I know when they start shitting them out now that they're dead, it's going to be really gross.
Yeah, at least they won't be live anymore.
That's true. And I had to make an appointment for Ghost and Ernie. They're going on Thursday to get dewormed, like in case they picked it up.
Yeah, that's smart.
and the vet was like, "You don't have any kids in the house, do you?" And I was like, "No." And she's like, "Good, because the roundworms can get in the kids and make them go blind."
What?
Whoa. And they can't get in adults?
No, they can be in us too. She was like, "Watch out, because if you somehow ingest the fecal matter, then you have them too."
Yeah. So
Change your sheets if they've been in your bed. I would.
Yeah, we're gonna do a deep clean.
Yeah. you
and
have to.
honestly, I might even order human deworming stuff for myself because I'm paranoid. Now, every time
Please
my
do
butt
it.
itches, I'm like, it's the
You're like,
worms.
they're poking out.
Yeah.
Well, I tried to deworm myself once, and like I almost died.
Yeah, I heard about that one. That was a trend on TikTok last fall. I talked to Kat
Yeah.
about it, and she told me about your
Eating papaya or
experience.
something.
Yeah, the spark notes for listeners who don't know the story. I don't know if I've ever discussed it on
No,
the
you
air.
haven't.
But basically, one year, like Kat said, my butt was kind of itchy, and I just Googled like itchy butt, and it was like, you have worms. Like everything was just like, you have worms. So I went to Walgreens, got a dewormer. I took it, and it just so happened I had a doctor's appointment that afternoon. I go into the doctor, and they take my blood pressure, and they're like, our machine's broken. Let me get another machine. And they go get another machine, and then they take it again, and she's like, I'll be right back. And I heard her yell, like, we need a doctor. And the doctor comes in and is like, yeah, like your blood pressure is maxed out for each number. They were like, an 80-year-old diabetic man who's dying would have this type of blood pressure. They're like, you need to lay down, and like we'll call an ambulance or figure out what's happening. And they're like, what'd you do? And I was like, I took a dewormer. And they're like, why? And I was like, I thought I had worms. And they're like, you took the dewormer right before you came to the doctor? You could have asked the doctor if you had worms. I was like, yeah, I was a little embarrassed, so I just wanted to go ahead and get it over with. But then my blood pressure gradually came down. But
They were gonna find out anyway. That is so funny. I would have done the same thing though.
Me too.
I absolutely would
Yeah.
have been like, sorry, what can we do now?
yeah, and it was weird. I felt fine. But then when they told me that, they're like, how do you feel? And I was like, I don't know. Maybe a little dizzy. Like,
Scared?
yeah, it's like this feedback loop of they freaked out, so I started freaking out.
Oh god.
So be careful if you're deworming yourself, folks.
I love that story. Anyway, so we were talking about how we would hide gold bars. This is what Doc does. First he starts carrying decoy gold bars so that if someone robbed him, they would take those and leave. And then the real ones he hid like all around the desert. He mostly would bury them and then like put little like stones or something on them so he could come back to it. Makes sense. And then meanwhile, he's still trying to like get the rest of the gold bars up. So to speed up the process, he hires a mining engineer to create a larger entrance to the cavern. They used dynamite to blow up the entrance, but they used too much. He hired Elmer McCurdy, and the entire thing collapses, and they can't get back down there.
That's tragic.
Yeah.
That is not worth it. Capitalism destroys all.
Capitalism.
Yeah, because oh shit, the light just fell. Greed, wanting more, wanting the monetary gain.
I would want more though.
No, you don't
get
need
all
more.
the gold out.
You don't need it though.
You do.
You already have so many gold bars. And you're a fucking podiatrist, for God's sake. Do you really need 200 gold bars?
That's true. I wonder how much those 200 are worth. Probably enough.
Yeah.
Well, at least he still has those, right?
Yeah. That's what I would think.
Yeah, he does. But to get more, he's shit out of luck. He can't get more treasure, and he also can't sell what he has because it's illegal to even have it. So he tries selling what he could, which is mostly just gold nuggets that he had managed to grab. But it's not worth a ton. He does get enough money though to skip town. He leaves his wife and children in New Mexico and goes to Texas.
Leaves them, or he's just I'll see you later.
He's just bye. And then he marries a new wife named Violet.
What the fuck did I say? What did I say? I predicted
the money went to his head.
It did.
Yeah, it totally did. Later in life, Ova's daughter recalled about Violet, quote, "She was younger, a little thinner than Mama. I don't think she was as pretty, but maybe someone else would." Which,
ooh, burn.
I like that. She's staying loyal to her mom.
Staying loyal and eloquently putting it out there.
Yeah, very diplomatic way to put it. He eventually does return to New Mexico with Violet because he wants the gold. In 1949, he convinced his business partner, Charlie Ryan, to invest $28,000 to try to reopen the cave and get the treasure. He also promised that he would sell Charlie Ryan 50 bars of gold, which kind of confused me because I'm Charlie Ryan's giving you $28,000. Why aren't you giving him some
should
gold?
Just be even, an even exchange. Also, can you imagine one of your friends going to you and be I know this sounds crazy, but out in the desert, I found this cavern in the sand in a hole, and there's treasure and skeletons.
Yeah, and I think it probably did sound crazy, and I think both of these guys kind of got cold feet a little bit and got paranoid. Doc especially, the night before he was supposed to give over these gold bars to Ryan, he panicked. I think he thought that Ryan would steal them. I don't think he'd gotten the $28,000 yet. So I think he worried he'd hand these gold bars over. Ryan wouldn't pay him or fund the excavation. So he finds this local whose name is Tony Jolly. He's a rodeo rider. And he says, "Help me hide these gold bars from my friend Charlie." So they hide 110 gold bars around the desert. It takes them all night. And then in the morning, he rolls up to Charlie when they're supposed to broker their little deal, and he didn't bring the gold bars because he'd been up all night hiding them. I was so confused by this part. But anyway, they get angry. They start yelling at each other because he's not following through on the deal. Things get heated, and Doc turns and starts running away. And that's when Ryan shoots him in the back of the head.
Yeah, I could have seen that coming. Money will do that to you.
Yeah. So Doc died at the age of 43 with $2 in his pocket.
Oof.
And 120 gold bars
hidden around the desert. Yeah.
Tony Jolly got real lucky in this scenario.
That is so true, Hayley.
Yeah.
Because those gold bars they hid never are mentioned again.
Nice.
Tony Jolly is living well, I would imagine.
He retired that day.
Yeah. So Charlie Ryan's arrested. He goes to court and claims that Doc had been running back to his car to get his gun to shoot Ryan. And this was self-defense. And the jury bought it. He was acquitted.
It's pre-self-defense.
Right. It would have been self-defense if he had the gun in his hand.
The gun and something was happening.
Yeah.
That's there's a really great line from Succession, and to not do any spoilers, but someone dies, and one of the other characters is it's no big deal. I pre-mourned their death, which they hadn't. But it's like you were pre-self-defending.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting defense.
Yeah.
And they bought it, too.
They bought it.
Okay. And this is the same kind of like time in court system that Elmer McCurdy was like, oh, we weren't using it to burglarize. We were building a machine gun. And
yeah.
like, okay,
it sounds like the juries in both cases just didn't give a shit.
Yeah. Also kind of sounds like something that would happen today, to be honest.
True. Yeah. You never know.
There's that.
Yeah. So with Doc gone, his legal but estranged wife, because he never officially divorced Ova, he just like married someone else in Texas. So they're still technically married, but not together. She's next in line for the treasure because they had that paperwork with the state when they were married. But by the time she starts looking for it, the military had taken over the land that the cave was on for a missile testing site. This is like after World War II.
And launching missiles is probably not going to help with the settling of the sand into the caverns.
No, it was a whole lot. And I don't think they were like testing the missiles on that land, but they had just taken up like a big swath of desert for whatever they wanted to use it for. And they refused to give Ova access.
There's a movie about that that's really popular right now.
About this story?
Yeah, Oppenheimer's about that.
Oh, the missiles.
Yeah, New Mexico.
Okay,
Yes,
yeah. I was like, there's a movie about this treasure?
specifically. Have you
I didn't
seen
know that.
Oppenheimer yet?
Yes.
You
Loved
did?
it.
Okay. Good. Wait, did we talk about this? I think
A little
we
bit,
did.
yeah.
I think we did. Okay. Sorry.
So Ova can't have access, but with all the pesky civilians out of the way, military personnel got free reign to look for the treasure.
So how did they know about the treasure?
Because everyone in the area knows about the treasure.
Oh.
It's like a whole thing. So in 1958, 4 officers from a nearby Air Force base began spending their free time treasure hunting. After months of looking, they found it. One of the men, Thomas Bartlett, gave an interview about this in the 90s, and he said, quote, "We saw artifacts on the wall. One was a very large cross made up of smaller crosses. There were 2 stacks of gold in the first room. A man could lay down in the tunnel and see to the next room with a flashlight. The stack of gold in that room was the shape of a pyramid, and we could see an exit out of the room. We believe that it's probably led to the main chamber that had been described in the diaries of Doc Noss."
Uh-oh.
So they find this treasure, but they don't take anything. They go to their superior officers and request official access to the cave for the purposes of excavation. They want the military to fund it and help them get the gold out.
Yeah, you don't want to do that on your own time.
No,
Let the military pay.
but this was a big mistake that they would live to regret.
No.
Bartlett later recalled, quote, "We were very young and maybe a little too naive. I was 19. I still had a little too much confidence in my government because their request was denied. They were not allowed to take any of the treasure. And not being allowed to take the treasure, the men were like, well, fuck you. You're not going to get the treasure. So they used dynamite and blew up the whole thing so no one else could get down there.
What? Oh my God. The government's like, thanks for finding it for us.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. But I think they probably did that for safekeeping, like hoping that like no one else can get it in the meantime. And then later, hopefully they'll get permission. And this did happen. They continued to like petition to be allowed to go down there. The military made them take a polygraph test to like make sure they weren't lying about what they found.
Highly reliable.
Right, as we all know. They passed, so they were allowed to return to the cave, but like they'd kind of fucked up when they blew it up because now they couldn't get down there and they just didn't get anything.
Shit.
So it's still there?
Well, it's speculated that the military allowed them to go back to the site to lead them there so that when these guys couldn't get down there on their own, the military could secretly excavate the cave and take the gold.
And the military was the one to set off the
No,
explosions?
these guys
The
did.
guys did.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like speculated that the military went back in and took the gold, but there's no proof of that. Meanwhile, Ova is pissed off and still feels like she has the right to the treasure. So she petitioned the state And in 1963, she was allowed to conduct a 60-day search on the land. And she hired a mining company to help her out, but they came up empty-handed.
Yeah, they definitely cleared the treasure out. That shit is gone. They went in with their military grade and tools and just got it all. I know they did.
Certainly possible. So things kind of cooled down for a while, and it was assumed that the treasure was lost or taken by the military until it weirdly resurfaced during the Watergate hearings in 1973. And bear with me here. So Nixon's former lawyer, John Dean, mentioned that Attorney General John Mitchell knew someone who wanted to turn over a large amount of gold to the U.S. government without facing legal repercussions. And he knew this from attorney F. Lee Bailey, who is actually a famous attorney because he was part of the O.J. Simpson trial later on. He said he was representing someone who, he was representing 50 clients who said they knew where the gold was, they had some of it, and wanted permission from the government to excavate the site, and also didn't want to get in trouble for having this gold. Even though by now that the gold law about bars, that was repealed. So they were allowed to have gold bars, but they'd had them, I guess, for a long time and didn't want to get in trouble, whatever. So
why even say we don't want to get in trouble?
I don't know. I guess because they had this treasure illegally.
And also I need a map of faces and names.
You don't really, all you need to know,
short story.
All you need to know is there's a lawyer who has clients claiming they know where the gold is and have some gold and want permission to go back and take more.
Oh, okay.
That's what's happening.
They need more.
They want more.
For their grubby little fingers.
Yes, ma'am. So the army was like, okay, what are their names? And
What's
Bailey,
in it for me?
Bailey refused to share their names. He also refused to give up the gold's location. So the army was like, well, we're not going to move forward with this claim until we have some details. So nothing happened.
And for what?
Yeah. And this sounds suspicious. When I first read this, I was like, it sounds like this Bailey guy just wants attention. But he did submit a gold bar to the Treasury Department and it tested at 60% gold. So he had a gold bar maybe from this, but none of his mystery clients ever chose to reveal themselves or move forward.
Yeah, I will say if it were me and I were one of his clients, even just a gold bar, if I had it, that's fine. If our first request gets denied, I don't really need more. I think one gold bar would be great. I could, have a little fun money and move on with my day. I don't think I would press the issue.
Yeah, it might just not have been worth it to them, depending especially on how much they already had.
Yeah, they're like, we're splitting it 50 ways already. What more can we possibly get?
It's believed that these clients were probably military guys that worked on the base and found some of the treasure.
Yeah, especially because it had been scattered all throughout the desert.
Yeah, they could have found just bits and pieces of it. Over the years, the military has permitted members of the Noss family to search the area, but despite spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on these expeditions, they've always come up empty-handed.
I can imagine it's really addictive, the possibility that all these hundreds of thousands of dollars that we've spent will be worth it when we find it. I know we'll find it. It has to be out here.
100%, especially for that family. And I didn't get into it. There's a whole legal battle stuff with the descendants of the family. And there's one in particular, I don't remember his exact relation, but he is determined to find this treasure. And it's can you imagine being born into a family where your family legend is that you guys are the heirs to $3 billion and you just have to find it? That would make you obsessed.
It would. And it's kind of interesting how it seems so concrete, the idea that there's all of this gold out there, but at the same time, anyone could really inherit that or make a ton of money themselves if you just strike success the
Yeah.
right way. You know, it's interesting how that can be a motivator and push someone if you're quote unquote born into it, but it's still also abstract at the end of the day because you don't really know.
Yeah, in a way, but like they have the paperwork that says like this is ours if we can find it.
It might be
and we
yours,
know
but-
it's on this hill, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But other people have
probably
probably
took
taken
it. Yeah. As far as anyone knows, the treasure is still there. The descendants, like I said, are still hopeful they may someday find it. But I don't know. I think the government probably has it.
I don't know why they wouldn't
Yeah.
have it. I can't think
Yeah.
of a good reason why they wouldn't have gone out there and just scooped it up.
If it even exists in the first place. Some people think that Doc Noss was just like a liar and a scammer, but like it doesn't sound like he really scammed anything.
Yeah, how would that pay off
like
for him?
maybe he just wanted attention, but I don't know. And like people like that one group of guys said they saw it. I don't know. I'm inclined to believe it, and most of the consensus online believes that the treasure is real, but you know, there's
Yeah.
always people that say it's fake.
I can get behind that.
Yeah.
For sure.
But anyway, that is the Victorio's Peak treasure.
Oh my goodness. And to think it all began with a little gust of wind up the pants.
Yeah, a little rattlesnake tease.
A little magical tease.
If you want to keep listening, we're going to head over to Patreon to do our extra credit. We would love to see you over there. As always, thank you for listening. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Send this episode to a friend. And thank you for your love and support. We're excited to see you next week. 3, 2, 1. Class dismissed.